Hi, welcome to On Your Watch. Today, we're going to talk about the art of networking as well as the art of, as a small business, of getting government contracts. Christine Kniff Shayan. She is known as the Queen of Networking in the New York metro area. She's a publisher of Networking Magazine as well as a portrait artist. She has her paintings hanging in the Pentagon as well as on her personal website, and she enjoys doing that on the side. But Christine Shayan, tell us how your career started as a portrait artist.
When I was in college, they started having me, I did a few portraits of my classmates, and then before I knew it, by the time I was a senior, I was doing almost everybody. First in pastels and then in oil paints. And after that, then it just continued. While I was working for the New Yorker magazine, which was my first job, I also was doing portraits on the side, and I've been doing them ever since. In addition, although it's hard to make a living when you're living in New York with just doing painting, so I wasn't able to do that, but I just continued the work all along the way.
She's being humble. But right now, this is probably a very famous portrait that we've all seen as the preview of Susan Lucci's television show. It's been on the air hundreds, if not thousands of times. This is Susan Lucci herself.
Yeah, well, it was interesting how this came to be. She had in her script of the show, All My Children, she had she was dating an artist, and he painted her portrait. She didn't like the painting that they had used. And this was in the story, of course. This is not real. So she asked me to do the portrait, and then she asked them if she could put my painting, a copy of my painting, on the air. And so that's how that happened. So it was on for many, many years.
On the opening credits of the show.
Was it? Yes. I don't know. Once I saw the painting, I wasn't able to really follow through and keep up with it in the same way, because because I was personally involved. And but nonetheless, I painted her portrait. This is in her house in Gardens, where she lives on Long Island, and I also painted her 2 children.
Oh, and we'll get to that. But this is the portrait that is currently hanging in the Pentagon.
Yes, it's the senior Army Chief of Staff when he retired. They have all the Army Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon hanging on the wall from George Washington up to the present time, and I was asked to do this portrait, which is there now. So this is Dennis Reimer, who was the Army Chief of Staff when I did the painting.
This is a rare opportunity for an artist. Not every artist is hanging on the wall of the Pentagon. And
this is Susan Lucci's 2 children that was done many years ago. They're grown now, but I did this one first, and then I did her painting. She wanted me to do the children first, and she did say on television recently, she had done interviews, and she said that if anything, she had a fire in her house, this would be the one thing that she would take out of the house. So I was very, very pleased to have her here say that. This is one of the portraits that I did. It's Jim Conway, who is was the president of Long Island Savings Bank, and that was done some time ago too.
Great.
This is Lester Gerard, a New York Supreme Court justice, and he's retired now. And I did him, and then there's some other portraits. These are from private collections. These are different paintings that I did. And this is the 2 children of the family. And then this last is the horses, which I like to do for myself. This was done from a horse show. It's the actual painting actually is longer. It's a horizontal painting, but I had it trimmed in order to reproduce it, and this is the size that I had available to bring into the show today. So if you'd like to see some more of my paintings, these ones are included. I have a website, ChristineKnipshayen.com, and you can go on and click on it, and you can see these paintings online.
Great, and that's just like the spelling of her name, Knipshayen. Terrific.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
so now that we know the hidden side of Christine, let's talk about the public side of Christine. No one goes to more events on Long Island, I don't think. She's gone to hundreds, if not thousands of events over the past 10 years?
23 years, actually, we've been doing Networking Magazine. We started in 1991, and the one on the left is our most recent issue. It just came up today, and this was the previous issue, which was our entertainment issue with Matilda Cuomo speaking about her mentoring. And so she's was very interested in that, and I knew that she did a lot with mentoring. She really started mentoring, whole mentoring program in New York State, so I was very happy to have the opportunity to feature her. She had been on years ago when she was a First Lady of New York, and I was happy to see her and put this together, and Christine Giordano wrote a wonderful story, who is right here sitting beside us. She's a wonderful writer, Christine is.
Christine and I have known each other for years, and of course, it's a fantastic, networking is a fantastic tool to get to know people on Long Island, because what it does is it features in its pages pictures of people and their titles as well as their companies. So if you're a networker and you're going out onto the scene and you're being a new event, or you're trying to see who's affiliated with what charity, you can pick up a copy of Networking, and let me just briefly flip through it. We have photographs of people as well as their titles and the charities that they tend to go to.
And that's what we always, we cover the sponsors. We really try to bring these people that are doing great good for the community. We try to give them validation in our publication, as well as identification. We always say who they are. We say, what they do, what their title is, and in that way, it's like an encyclopedia of who's who on Long Island. In this issue right here, we have an education section where we have presidents of many of the colleges on Long Island are identified, and they're giving words about how they differ, what their programs are that they're proud of, and it's an interesting piece of information for somebody that wants to network. If you want to go, it's very helpful when you go to an event and you can see, people save these magazines and they put them on their desk, and they have them, and then they refer to them. It's very, very helpful to say, oh, I've been told many times that people find people that they recognize, and they tell them, they say, oh, I saw you through the pages of Networking Magazine. My name is Joe Schmo, and I'm very, very happy to see you. I'm with the XYZ Corporation. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Networking also has a calendar of events for the networker who's always on the go, and it's terrific to mark your personal calendars. It also has a green leader section if you want to stay up on some of the leaders in the green industry. And why don't you talk a little bit about how you went from portraits to magazines, and then I would like to pick your brain for the networker. What should networking people keep in mind? What shouldn't they do? What should they do?
Wonderful.
So how did you get your start with magazines?
I started with my husband. I was a graphic designer. He was a journalist, is a journalist, and we started this magazine called House Magazine. I don't know if it's possible to see it, but this was in '81 it was started. And and then 10 years later, I started networking on my own. I wanted to know, when I was going into a totally different kind of field, that I wanted to know how to network, who to meet. All of the associations, there's so many associations, which we list their events, what they, what's happening with them on It's in the magazine, and we keep up with it. And so I needed to know, to start a magazine, where to go. And so I started listing things that nobody else was listing, like, different groups. National Association of Women Business Owners. It was primarily for women originally. Now it encompasses both men and women. And we do a lot with charities, as I said, because the corporate leaders support the charities.
Yeah, so what events shouldn't people miss on Long Island?
Well, you go through the calendar, like there's the different groups. You should get involved in the different networking groups. If you're a woman, for instance, you can do the Suffolk County has many groups. Nassau County does. I'm back and forth between Nassau and Suffolk County. The National Association of Women Business Owners, Long Island Center for Business and Professional Women. The Long Island Association is the biggest networking group on Long Island, and it really has the power players are there. You
For
can
men
join,
and women.
For men and women. And there's many, many, many groups. I mean, there's probably, I don't know how many networking groups on Long Island there are, but there are a lot of them.
Great.
There's Black Women Enterprises. There's
East
100
End
Black
Women's
Men,
Network.
East End Women's Network. There's so many of them that it's
So
hard,
just-
you really, you can go to anything you want to.
Okay.
And it gives you an opportunity to get to know people.
And you also, of course, have your David Awards.
Oh, the David Awards is an annual event. It has become we honor 8 of New York's leaders, 8, and they're always, generally, they're leaders in education or in corporate, in business or in other areas like that, but the one criteria is that they also give back to the community. They're great philanthropists. Either they give money or they give work or they do all different kinds of things, but they're absolutely the leaders. Actually, you'll see 2 of our David Award honorees from last year are on the cover of this issue of the magazine. There's Marty Lyons, who's a former New York Jet, and Walter Stockton, who is the head of the IGHL, which is an interesting story.
Great.
That'll be so.
Okay. We don't have too much time left, but could you tell us what networkers should keep forth and foremost in their mind when they enter into an event?
Okay, if you're not used to doing this, the first thing you should try to write is what they call an elevator speech. And you go up to someone, you say, hello, my name is Joe Schmo, and my company is such and such, and maybe I saw you in the pages of networking, I wanted to introduce myself. And hopefully you start a relationship. You're not going to be best friends or get business right away, but you're going to, hopefully after this happens 2 or 3 times, they're going to know who you are, and then they remember you, and then you see if you can do something. And if you do see somebody and they give you time, you can always send a note, and that makes such an impression because everything is email now. So I really do think that if you send a little note and you say, I enjoyed meeting you, and I hope to see you again, and sometimes maybe we'll have more time to talk. And you just, without being too pressuring people too much, you can, people are very responsive. They don't go to these events except to meet people and to talk to people and do business. And so that's the reason they're there. So you start with that given right away, that it's very helpful.
Great.
But anyway.
Thank you. And to supplement this, Christine has provided us with a tip sheet to the networker, top 6 tips for you as you go out and you meet the right people. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Christine.
much.
I love being here. Thank you for having me.
Christine Kniff-Shayan.
Thank you very much, Maria.